Hey, what's up everybody? This is Snackbox. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Guys, Plarium just released more information about the upcoming fusion and also about Hansel, and we have 3 different progressive summoning events over the weekend. Now first off, let's take a look at Gretel. So really interesting design, kind of like a vampire hunter or something like that. So if you take a look at her skills, pretty much all of her skills kind of have a synergy with Hansel, which makes them a really nice team. Now let's take a look at her skills. Evil Undone is her A1, attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. If Hansel Witchhunter is on the same team, attacks all enemies instead. Pretty nice, really interesting. Has a 25% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. Also places an extra hit against enemies under any buffs. This books up 20% damage and 25% debuff chance. So you would have a 50% chance of placing a decreased defense on an AoE attack, which is pretty solid, especially if you pair her with an ally attacker or something like that. I can see this skill work pretty nicely in Hydra. So let's take a look at her A2. Shadow Seeker Bolts attacks one enemy 4 times. The first hit will ignore 10% of the target's defense. The second hit will ignore 15% defense. The third hit will ignore 20%, and the fourth hit will ignore 25%. So a lot of ignored defenses here. If this attack kills an enemy, resets cooldown of this skill and fills this champion's turn meter by 50%. So this is really interesting. Seems like a very strong single target hitter with 4 hits. Each hit ignores defense and every hit will ignore more defense. So I can see this probably killing a lot of champions in 4 shots basically, and then just resetting this cooldown, give her 50% turn meter, and yeah, pretty much go again. But I don't know, it has to be tested, I guess. Maybe the multipliers are not strong enough to take down the champions in arena. I look at this pretty much as an arena skill, but even for a boss, she might hit hard, who knows, right? But a 4 hitter with ignore defense, not bad at all. So let's take a look at the A3. It's Sacred Ritual, attacks all enemies, decreases the turn meters of all enemies by 25%. If Hansel Witchhunter is on the same team, decreases the turn meters of all enemies by 50% instead. This effect cannot be resisted. Then fills this champion's turn meter by 20% for each enemy alive after the attack. This is kind of interesting. I see the decreased turn meter effects and all that working in arena, maybe also in some of the waves in dungeons, but what I'm really interested in here is the turn meter fill by 20% for each enemy alive after the attack, which would probably work in Hydra, right? She would get like a 80% turn meter increase. So this might be a really strong skill for Hydra. Okay, so she has a passive as well. The passive effect fills this champion's turn meter by 50% whenever an enemy is granted an extra turn. Okay. All right. Not bad, I guess. There's also an Hydra head that gets an extra turn. Okay, not bad, I guess. If Hansel Witchhunter is on the same team, also fills their turn meter by 50% whenever an enemy is granted an extra turn. Okay, so both, if you pair them on the same team, both get 50% turn meter whenever an enemy gets an extra turn. Not bad at all, pretty nice actually. An active effect, if Hansel Witchhunter is on the same team and is killed by the enemy, instantly activates Sacred Ritual skill. And this is the Sacred Ritual. Okay, okay. Uh, Not bad actually. She has an increased ally attack in all battles by 30%. Force Affinity. I mean, there's a lot going on in this kit, not gonna lie. Uh, from the looks of it, at first she looks like an kind of an arena champ, but I'm really curious how she performs in Hydra, how both of them paired together would perform in Hydra. Now let's take a look at Hansel. Hansel Witchhunter. Uh, he's magic affinity, also an attack champion, so both scale of attack. A1, Purge All Evil. Attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing a 25% weaken debuff for 2 turns. If Gretel Hagbane is on the same team, attacks all enemies instead, has a 25% chance of placing a 25% weaken debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. Also places an extra hit on enemies under any debuffs. So this is actually a really nice synergy if you pair her with Gretel. Gretel has decreased defense, he has weaken. If they're on the same team, they both have an AoE A1. Now bring in ally attack and both place an extra hit most of the time because, for example, in Hydra, the heads most of the time always have a debuff and sometimes also in buff. Same in the arena. So this might be actually a really strong synergy. Now let's take a look at the A2. Sanctified Knives. Attacks one enemy 2 times, will ignore shield and unkillable buffs. Grants an extra turn if this kills an enemy. So yeah, again, something similar to Gretel's A2. Just he doesn't ignore defense, he does ignore shield and unkillable buffs. So looks like a so this is like more of an arena skill. Now there's nothing much to it. Let's take a look at the A3. Attacks all enemies, will ignore 15% of each target's defense. Also increases the cooldown of one random skill on each enemy by 2 turns. If Gretel Hagbane is on the same team, will ignore 30% of each target's defense instead, will also increase the cooldown of all enemies by 2 turns instead. This cooldown increasing effect cannot be resisted. Now this is actually not bad at all. Of course, like cooldown increasing effects are not that strong anymore, as people who are using mythicals just swap the form in arena and then it's basically worth nothing. But other than that, I think this is a really nice skill, as this cannot be resisted if they're in the same team. So this is a really nice synergy, really strong. Now let's take a look at the passive. And there are not many champions that can put skills on cooldown, so this is really nice. Let's take a look at the passive. Reflects all fear and true fear debuffs from this champion to the attacker. Wow, so this is actually pretty strong from the start. I'm instantly thinking about the Torment counter. If Gretel Hagbane is on the same team, also reflects all fear and true fear debuffs placed on Gretel Hagbane back to the attacker. So really nice. He basically blocks or reflects the fear and true fear of him and Gretel when they're in the same team. That's a really nice synergy as well. Active effect. If Gretel Hagbane is on the same team and is killed by the enemy, instantly activates Baneful Burst skill. So basically something similar to Gretel's passive active effect. And wow, this is actually pretty interesting. I'm really curious how hard they can hit. Are the multipliers good enough that they are viable in the arena, or are they just not getting the job done? I think we will find out as soon as the content creators will start testing it on the test server. But he has also an aura, increases ally attack in arena battles by 33%. So yeah, definitely he was meant to be an arena champion, I guess. but from my perspective, I'm really curious if they are working well in Hydra and if they can do damage. He will probably be available through the Heroes Path. I don't know how expensive it will be, but I would assume that it will cost quite a few shards or soul stones or whatever they're gonna come up with. So talking about shards, we have a Summon Rush going live tomorrow on Friday, October the 25th. And we have a progressive event for Rotos, Duchess, and Tomb Drang from Primals, Ancients, and Sacreds, as well as Bad Alcazar. And also Siphi and Nekret the Great from Voids. Epic Champions, Allure, Vogoth, Sinesha, and Whisper and Skull Crown. Now, on Saturday, the 26th, we will have Ancora, Kendrathon, Gaev, the Truth Shield, and Sitsia from Ancients, Primals, and Sacreds, and also White King Narcissus and Kyle from Supreme Kyle from Void Shards. And then the Epic Champions for Saturday are Miscreated Monster, Doom Priest, and Seeker from Ancients, Primals, and Sacreds, and Madame Ceres and Umbral Enchantress from Voids. Then the last progressive event on Sunday is gonna be Kaimar, UDK, Mortum Macabre, Queen Eva from Ancients, Primals, and Sacreds, and Georgit from Voids. We have from as epics, we have Magnar, Eshma, and Husk from Ancients, Primals, and Sacreds, and Ostrox and Golden Reaper from Void. So this is a really nice chance for anybody that was trying to get one of these champs. I mean, Siphi, Kaimar, and all of these champs are really, really nice. And if you didn't have the chance to get them yet and you was waiting for a progressive event like this is your chance. But I'm probably gonna save my shards because it really feels like they're trying to drain our shards before the upcoming fusion events. And yeah, I just can't afford to use my shards at the moment. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching and see you in the next video. Peace.